country. I'm telling you, it was a dead country. It was a country that had lost its way. It was a country that was going to fail. Look, even today, where they say $4 trillion in reductions of deficits, and this was totally unexpected. They didn't expect it. I mean, I don't know where they've been, the people that do this stuff, but it's terrible. I want to thank Christy for another reason. I said to her 2 weeks ago, I said, Christy, do me a favor. I built hundreds of miles of wall. I built the same wall that the Border Patrol asked me to build. It wasn't my first choice. I wanted to do concrete plank and everything nice, but you wouldn't have been able to see through it. So I had Border Patrol in, and they tested everything else. And we gave them steel wall, high-grade steel, very hard to cut. Then we gave inside that is 9,000-pound concrete, which is a very tough concrete. Inside that is rebar, a big, fat piece of rebar. So you have all different materials that are very hard to cut, and you need different instruments to cut each one. And I said, Kristen, we got to get a coat of paint on it. And I didn't know she was listening, but I said, we got to get a coat of paint, and it should be black, because black makes the steel very hot. It's untouchable. You could fry an egg on it. And if you got a good black, flat paint, it would look beautiful. It will preserve it from rust. And that was it. And I gave it to her along with 30 other things, and she's done such a good job on the border with Tom Homan and the group. Tom Homan's a fantastic guy, what the job he does and the way they work together. So I turned on last night and I see Christie's painting the wall. And it looked beautiful, by the way, when that paint went over there.
And it's hot.
It's hot.
Yes, it is.
It's hot. If it's white, it's not hot. If it's black, it's going to be very hard to climb that sucker. It's not going to be easy. But it's black and a high-quality black. You know, it really looked good.
Yeah, we got
Is
the
that going to
paint
be a
you told us
two-coat
to.
job or a one-coat?
No, just one coat.
One coat.
We used the paint you told me to buy.
Yep. The two-coat will take place in 3 years from now, right? We'll do the second coat. But it looks beautiful. But thank you very much. I didn't know you were listening to that, because we talked about 7 different subjects, and all of a sudden I see her out there painting with a lot of painters and everything else. But it was a beautiful thing to say.
Yeah.
Would you like to say something? You've been such a big part of this. Please.
Well, Mr. President, we're delighted to be here today for this announcement, but we're also looking forward to having you at the final.
Oh, yes.
On July 19th
No, we'll be
in New
there.
York, New Jersey.
We're going to be there. A lot of people are going to be there.
A lot of people.
I'd like to thank you all. Do you have any questions on FIFA, first of all?
It's going to be a big event at the Kennedy Center. Do you intend to take part in it? Will you have a part to play on December 5th?
I may play.
Hosting,
I mean, I see the money that these soccer players, we call it soccer, but I see the money that these soccer players are making. I may try and play. I'm a very good athlete. My son is a very good athlete, and he's a good soccer player. He's on the tall side for soccer. Yeah. He's 6'9". That's pretty tall.
That's pretty tall.
It's on the tall side.
He's good.
It's on the tall side, but he's good. But no, I may put on shorts. I look extremely good in shorts and join the play. No, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be great.
Many foreigners who want to come to attend the event are concerned about the visa situation. Can you reassure them?
Yeah, and they're going to have a very easy time getting in. Certain countries are going to be very, very easy, and other countries are going to be obviously a little bit more difficult. Would you like to explain that, Kristen?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a process set up that we'll be implementing on getting visas approved. Everybody will be thoroughly vetted, but they'll be welcome to this country. It'll happen quickly, and we're excited for them to come. So I would hope that around the world people know that the United States is excited to bring their family here to enjoy this event.
America welcomes the world.
Yes.
And I can really, from the collaboration that we have, testify for that, absolutely. Thank you.
And I just sent a picture from somebody that wants to be there very badly. He's been very respectful of me and of our country, but not so respectful of others. But I'm going to sign this for him, but I was sent one, and I thought you'd all like to see it. That's a man named Vladimir Putin, who I believe will be coming, depending on what happens. He may be coming, and he may not, depending on what happens. We have a lot of things happening over the next couple of weeks. But I thought it was a nice picture of him. Okay of me, but nice of him. So that was very nice that it was sent to me. Okay?
Mr. President, on that subject, have you talked to Vladimir Putin about the fact that yesterday a big U.S. factory was hit in a Russian airstrike in Ukraine? What's your reaction to that?
I told him I'm not happy about it, and I'm not happy about anything having to do with that war. I settled 7 wars, and actually if you think about pre-wars, add 3 more, so it would be 10. I thought this would be in the middle of the pack in terms of difficulty. Now, I'm not happy about anything about that war. Nothing. Not happy at all. We'll see what happens. I think over the next 2 weeks, we're going to find out which way it's going to go. And I better be very happy.
How long are you willing
I had
to wait,
a
Mr.
very good
President?
call with Prime Minister Carney of Canada yesterday morning.
Yes.
Actually, Canada is taking away some retaliatory tariffs.
He's
so-
removing his tariffs, yeah.
Exactly.
He's removing his retaliatory tariffs, which I thought was nice. And we're going to have another call soon. Yeah,
Okay.
we had a very good call.
You're getting closer towards an
Well, I
agreement
like him.
country?
I like him. You know, look, I'm fighting for the United States. Canada and Mexico have taken a lot of our business over the years, over 25, 30 years, especially during the Biden years. They took a lot of our business, and it's basically all coming back into the United States now. We're hot as a pistol, and it's coming back in. Because of tariffs and the incentives we give, it's coming back. And it's impossible, I think, for another country to stop it. And we are working on something. We want to be very good to Canada. I like Carney a lot. I think he's a good person. And we had a very good talk yesterday. So I think it'll be good.
Mr. President, I have a question about the search of Ambassador Bolton's home. The Vice President recently just did an interview saying that it's about classified documents, but that there's also broad concern about him. What are the concerns
Well, I
that you
haven't
have?
spoken to Pam and the group yet, but I will be. I saw that just like everybody else. I try and stay out of that stuff. I'm allowed to be, and I'm chief law enforcement officer, believe it or not. You know, I don't like to go around saying that, but I am. That's the position. But I purposely don't want to really get involved in it. I'm not a fan of John Bolton. I thought he was a sleazebag, actually. And he suffers major Trump derangement syndrome, but so do a lot of people, and they're not being affected by anything we do. I don't know anything about it. I just saw that. I'll find out about it. But if you believe the news, which I do, I guess his house was raided today. But my house was raided also, called Mar-a-Lago. They went through everything they could, including my young son's room and my wife's area. They went through her drawers, as the expression goes. They went through everything you can imagine. And when she came back, she said, she's very neat, you know, she's meticulous. And she looked and she said, whoa, this wasn't the way that she had it. So, you know, so I know the feeling. It's not a good feeling. Thank you.
Mr. President, on Ukraine, how long will you give Putin?
A couple of
and
weeks. We're going to figure it out. We'll find it.
Do you think you'll have to intervene at some point?
Look, it takes two to tango. You understand that. I wanted to have a meeting with those two. I could have been at the meeting, but a lot of people think that nothing's going to come out of that meeting. You have to be there. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. But we're going to see. In the meantime, people continue to die. But I've solved 7 of them where they were in wars for 31, 35, and 37 years. We had 3 of them that were for more than 30 years, Johnny, and I got them solved. And we solved one that could have been a nuclear war with India and Pakistan. That was getting ready to be a nuclear war. I solved them all. And this one, I thought we would have had it done by now, but it's more different. There's a lot of anger, a lot of hatred. There's a tremendous amount of hatred there. So. But we'll see what happens. I think in 2 weeks we'll know which way I'm going. Because I'm going to go one way or the other. And they'll learn which way I'm going.
Mr. President.
If I got 2 questions for you, one on FIFA, the other one on DC. Can you talk about the economic impact that FIFA will have in these cities, and what's your message to the mayors to get their cities prepared, not only the beautification process, but also the safety aspect?
Well, Los Angeles is an example. You know, it's poorly run. We have a mayor there that can't even get permits to the people that lost their houses. Lee Zeldin got every permit. The hardest permit is the federal permit. Within 20 days, every single permit was there for the people to build their houses. But people are writing us and they're saying they won't give us. The mayor is incompetent. The governor is incompetent. You know, Gavin. I know Gavin very well. He's an incompetent guy with a good line of bullshit, and he doesn't get the job done. And frankly, those people want to build their houses. It's terrible. They could have been built. Some of them could have been built already. But think of it: the federal government that has the most complex part, it's the most complex environmental thing to do. We got it. Everybody had it within 30 days. And they're not even close to getting their permits. And now they're talking about taking some of those sites and building low-income housing on them. These are high-end neighborhoods. And I'm all for low-income housing. I built a lot of low-income housing. I know all about 236. I know every program that there is in the government. I used every one of them. I know more about low-income housing than probably almost anybody. And it's great. It's fine. It's wonderful. But you don't build it in Pacific Palisades. You don't build it there, and you don't build it in the other areas that burn down. So they're talking about putting up low-income housing. And you talk about riots. They're going to have riots if that happens because you're taking the people's property away. They want to build their houses, and they're unable to get permits from the mayor and from the governor. And that's a terrible thing. But, and let me tell you, if I didn't send in the troops in Los Angeles, Johnny wouldn't be in Los Angeles. You wouldn't be having your World Cup there. I sent in the troops, and we kept it. And even the police commissioner, the sheriff and the police commissioner, they all said the same thing. They said, we could have never handled what was happening. You saw that, you were there. He said, we could have never handled what was happening. And then you hear Gavin Newsom, after it's all quelled, you hear Newsom get up and said, we could have done this by ourselves. No, they couldn't have. And if they could have, I wouldn't have taken the chance either.
Okay, my second question is on crime prevention. Would you be open to expanding the national concealed carry to apply to D.C. like it does in other states like Texas?
Yeah. Well, they have it in some states, and they feel strongly about it. As you know, I'm in favor of it. People have to protect themselves. I'm a Second Amendment person, very simply. People have to be able to protect themselves. Especially like in Washington, you walk down the street, a guy comes up and slugs you. He's got a pistol in his hand. You can be tough, you can be in great shape, you can be a powerful person, or you can be a guy that weighs 100 pounds with a gun in your hand.
Right.
And I'll bet on the guy with a gun 100% of the time, right? And so you need protection. So I'm a Second Amendment person all the way. Yeah, please.
President Trump, you said this morning that you were working with Congress to get $2 billion to help clean up DC. Have you had any conversations with Mike Johnson and John Thune about where they're going to get that money from?
Which money?
You said this morning that you're going to get $2 billion from Congress to help clean up
Yeah,
DC.
I've spoken to Mike Johnson. I've spoken to John Thune, the Senate, the House. And I think it's going to be very easy to get. It's going to be not a lot of money. I wouldn't even know where to spend the number that you mentioned, but it's going to be money to beautify the city. Yeah, they're ready. Everybody wants to save D.C. In one way, it's the easiest. The violence was more than any other city in the country, actually, by far. It may have been more than any other city in the world, if you could think. We looked at some of the worst cities in the world. It was worse, and that's why it angers me to see the mayor saying about how they have it on the slide. Not on the slide. It was worse than ever. Yeah, we have no problem getting that money. That money will come out of Congress. I think it'll be even bipartisan.
And is the plan to
I
get
mean, I would imagine Democrats would vote for that one.
Is the plan to get it before the September 30 spending deadline on the Hill?
Well, I don't know if there is a deadline, because if I declare a national emergency, which this was, that ends the deadline. So, I mean, I keep seeing about a 30-day deadline, of which we have 22 days left or something. But if I think we're in great shape here, that's one thing. But if I don't, I'm going to just say it's a national emergency. And if I have a national emergency, I can keep the troops here as long as I want. If people are not going to want to have the troops. And 30 days, it's one thing to get them out. It's another thing to keep them out for a long period of time. You've got to train people. You can't do this. You can't bop people over the head. And a lot of those people are in courts right now, going to court. They're going to go to jail for a long time. So that's going to take more than 30 days. But if I have to, I'll declare a national emergency, which I don't think I have to do. Yeah.
Mr. President, Ukraine and Russia, you said in 2 weeks you'll know whether you go.
Yeah, I think I'll know. I think I'll know the attitude of Russia and, frankly, of Ukraine. It takes two.
What are the 2 ways you can go at the end of 2 weeks then?
Well, then I'm going to make a decision as to what we do. And it's going to be a very important decision. And that's whether or not it's massive sanctions or massive tariffs or both. Or do we do nothing and say it's your fight? Look, I would have never been in this war if I were president. You wouldn't have had this war. It was never going to happen. This was caused by stupid people that fought. And people say, well, how do we know? Because for 4 years, it was never even a subject. And Vladimir knew, and you see his picture right here. It was nice that he sent, but Vladimir knew very strongly. we wouldn't have stood for it. It wouldn't have happened. 100% wouldn't have happened, but it did happen. And now they're losing from 5 to 7 young kids. Think of it, you're a parent and your son is leaving. He's Russian or he's Ukrainian. And he's leaving and they're waving goodbye. Nice, beautiful kid. Nice crew cut, all set. He wants to be a soldier. And he goes there the first week, he has his head blown off. And he's no different than you people, me. And it doesn't matter where. I mean, I solved a problem in the Congo that was vicious. Rwanda and the Congo, the Republic of the Congo. And they were fighting for 31 years, and it was machetes. People were getting their heads chopped off. That was going on for 31 years. I got it solved. You saw it. They came to the White House, and we signed an agreement. It was amazing. People can't believe we got it done. I love to stop killing. I really do. People thought it would be just the opposite. Hillary Clinton said, oh, he'll get us into a war. No, I'm getting everybody else out of wars.
Are you saying there's a real possibility then that you do nothing if Putin doesn't come to the table for a ceasefire?
I'll see whose fault it is. If there are reasons why, I'll understand that. I know exactly what I'm doing. We're going to see whether or not they have a meeting. That'll be interesting to see. And if they don't, why didn't they have a meeting? Because I told them to have a meeting. But I'll know in 2 weeks what I'm going to do. I have pretty good ideas.
Your Justice Department is also sending some of the Epstein files over to the House Oversight Committee today. Are you in support of them releasing all of them?
I'm in support of keeping it open.
If they want
innocent people shouldn't be hurt, but I'm in support of keeping it totally open. I couldn't care less. You got a lot of people that it could be mentioned in those files that don't deserve to be. You know, people, because he knew everybody in Palm Beach. I don't know anything about that, but I have said to Pam and everybody else, give them everything you can give them, because it's a Democrat hoax. It's just a hoax. The whole Epstein thing is a Democrat hoax. So we had the greatest 6 months, 7 months in the history of the presidency, and the Democrats don't know what to do, so they keep bringing up that stuff. But it affected them. Bill Clinton was on his plane and went to the island supposedly 28 times. I don't want to bring that up, frankly. You have Larry, whatever his name is, Summers, the head of Harvard, who was Jeffrey Epstein's best friend. Nobody ever talks about that. I mean, but I don't want to hurt Larry Summers, but he was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein. No, this is a Democratic hoax to try and get the significance of what we've done over the past 7 months. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. They say it's #1 in history. What we've done, including stopping 7 wars. I mean, just include that. And now you look at the stock market today. It's way up to start off with from where I took it. And this market was going to crash. If Joe Biden or Kamala were president, this market we would have had a crash like in 1929. You're not going to have that. It's only a question of how high is it going to go. You know, I had the strongest economy in the history of our country. And despite COVID, we had the strongest economy in the history of our country. And we're going to blow it away this time. I was always good at making a lot of money. And whether it was for myself or whether it was, I like doing it this way better. I mean, I like making it for the country. Our country's been ripped off by friend and foe, nations all over the world ripped off. And the friends have been much worse than the foes for the most part. And they're not ripping us off. We just signed a deal with the European Union. They're paying us essentially $950 billion, like a signing fee. They're going to buy $750 billion worth of energy. They weren't buying much of our energy there. And they're very smart in doing it. And as you know, Ursula was here a couple of days ago having to do with the people, the leaders that we had a great, people said they've never seen anything like it, where we had the leaders of Europe right here in the Oval Office. And she's so happy that she has an agreement. But people aren't ripping us anymore. We're run by, this country is run by smart people now.
Mr. President, in Israel...
Two questions. One is about Intel. There have been reports that you're considering taking a stake in Intel. Can you tell us about
the 10%?
About the 10%.
Yeah, I met a man. He was a very nice man, and I called for his removal because I saw something by a man named Tom Cotton, a senator from Arkansas. He's a great guy, friend of mine, supporter of mine, big supporter. I'm a supporter of his too. And he wrote a pretty nasty story about the head of Intel. And I said, well, if that's right, he should resign. And he came in, he saw me, we talked for a while. I liked him a lot. I thought he was very good. I thought he was somewhat a victim, but you know, nobody's a total victim, I guess. And I said, you know what? I think the United States should be given 10% of Intel. And he said, I would consider that. I said, well, I'd like you to do that because Intel has been left behind, as you know, compared to Jensen and some of our friends, NVIDIA, some of the people, and the people in, because Intel should have never been. Intel was the biggest, most powerful chip company in the world. And then they started leaving. And they started going to foreign countries, in particular Taiwan. And if we had a president that would have said, okay, you can go to Taiwan, but we're going to put a 100% tariff or a 200 or 300 or a 500% tariff, anybody that sells into the United States has to pay. They wouldn't have left. They would have never left, and we wouldn't have. So in the meantime, we had people that were, in some cases, good politicians that weren't good on trade. I loved that man, but he was not good on trade. I totally disagreed. He allowed the car industry to be taken out of this country. We lost 50% of our car industry. But that's all coming back. It's all coming back. But if somebody would have said that with Intel, would be a giant right now. Now, with that, they've had some bad management over the years, and they got lost. And I said, I think you should pay us 10% of your company. And they said, yes. That's about $10 billion. I don't get it. This comes to the United States of America. And I said, I think it would be good having the United States as your partner. He agreed. And they've agreed to do it. And I think it's a great deal for them. And I think it's a great deal. He walked in wanting to keep his job, and he ended up giving us $10 billion for the United States. So we picked up $10 billion. And we do a lot of deals like that. I'll do more of them. If somebody has, like we have restrictive covenants with Jensen. We have, it's NVIDIA. And to unrestrict the covenant, nothing to do with losing our powers or military or anything, because that I wouldn't do. But there are things you can do that don't affect us, that actually help us. And if we're going to give somebody a free out, a restricted covenant, we have a strong restrictive covenant on certain industries. And I will absolutely give somebody a opening on a to do a lot of business, which is good for us, as long as it doesn't hurt us in a security or military way. And if I do that, I think the country should be paid, because anybody else, I have it in real estate where I'll have a deal with somebody and I'll have them restrictive covenant. Then they'll come back and they'll say, I'd love to be able to build over here, but I'm not allowed to because you have me covered, you have me restricted. I say, I'll let you build over there, but pay me a lot of money. No different. But the country never did it because the country was run by foolish people.
Mr. President, on DC Prime, you said Chicago might be next.
Chicago might be next.
Are you making, have there been concrete steps that the administration is taking to do that? Or what are other cities as well?
I haven't spoken to the mayor. He's grossly incompetent. I haven't spoken to the mayor. No, when we're ready, we'll go in and we'll straighten out Chicago, just like we did D.C. Chicago is very dangerous, great place. I built great stuff there. I have the most beautiful building in Chicago, I think. But I hate to see what's happened to Chicago. Chicago was our greatest city, actually. Bob Tisch, a great friend of mine, passed away. He used to own the Giants and very successful Lowe's. He said Chicago, I think they had their main office in Chicago. He said Chicago and San Francisco, the two greatest cities in the world. Now you look at what the Democrats have done to San Francisco. They've destroyed it. I own a big chunk of the Bank of America building in San Francisco. And, you know, it's just different. We can clean that up, too. We'll clean that one up, too. Now, if everything works out, and we've already had calls from other cities, quiet calls from Democrats, we'd love you to come here, because they've lost control of their cities. I'm not going to say, because I don't want them to lose their elections. But we've had calls from Democrats and calls from people generally. We'd love you to come here, because we'll straighten out the problem.
Mr. President, in Israel, the families of hostages are are opposed to the reoccupying of Gaza. Why is the U.S. still
Well, not
supporting
all of them. And you have to understand, I'm the one that got all of the hostages out. You got a lot of people out. If it wasn't for me, they wouldn't be out. I worked with Bibi and I worked with Steve Witkoff. But if it wasn't for me, you would have all these hostages would most likely be dead right now, every one of them. So they all come up here. They come in groups of 10, 12, 13, and many of them, and I've gotten to know a lot of them. They're great people. What they had to go through is incredible. But so now they have 20, but the 20 is actually probably not 20 because a couple maybe aren't around any longer. It's a terrible thing. No, I don't like anymore. I said, you know, when you get down to 20, they're not going to make deals anymore. And they didn't. And then I put out a statement, as you know, there was a tough statement, go in and get them. And they said, we'll give you 10, we'll give you 10. I don't know what Israel's doing, but they were willing now immediately to give us another 10. The situation has to end. It's extortion, and it has to end. And we'll see what happens. I actually think they're safer in many ways if you went in and you really went in fast and you did it. And people can't forget October 7th, remember that. I'm friendly with all groups. I won the Arab vote in Michigan. I did so great with the Arab vote, remember? I started off at 0, I ended up winning. I wouldn't say the candidate was the greatest, but I would have won against anybody. They're great people. But we have to do things properly. And you know, I'm very proud to say I got the hostages out. You have hundreds of people that are living now because of me. And now we have that final little group of people. And Hamas knows that if they give them, that's probably the end of their lives. So it's not easy to get. And I know if you're a parent, you just don't care. You want, I want my baby back. They want their babies back. They want their kids back. And I understand it. But I got them out and did a good job. And we're doing everything we can to get the hostages out. Thank you all very much. Yes?
So Jackson Hole, Jay Powell today said he suggested that they might cut interest rates, but they have to proceed.
Well, we call him too late for a reason. He should have cut him a year ago. He's too late. You know, we have a stock market that's up 1,000 points today. I better be careful because I go out there and I'll see it's down 1,000, right? But it's up 1,000 points when I came in here. We have a country that the market's the hottest it's ever been. The country is better than it's ever been. We have a military that I rebuilt largely in my first term. We had a great, successful first term, but this is going to be even better. But we rebuilt it. We gave a lot of it away to Afghanistan, but relatively small compared to the overall. But I think it was the most embarrassing day and period in the history of our country that they allowed those 13 wonderful people, but it's really hundreds of people were killed. And they don't talk about the 48 that were so severely wounded with no legs, no arms, nobody ever mentions them except me. But that was the worst day, the most, it just showed how incompetent. Frankly, if that didn't happen, I really believe that you might not have had the problem with Russia. I think Putin was sitting there watching these stupid people running our country and said, this is a time to invade. It's, this is a time. And then Biden made the statement, well, he can do a small incursion. When he said that, it was off to the races, right? When he said he can do a small incursion, remember that? I was surprised he knew the word incursion. I didn't think he had that good of a vocabulary. I want to thank everybody. It's very important to me and to everybody up here, the World Cup. And Johnny has been so incredible. I mean, he's really a great leader. I mean, to think, I said, Johnny, do it by phone. You don't have to come. No, he said, I'll come. And he flew all night long to be here and listen to this about how great we're doing in D.C. But he's a fantastic leader, and this will be your most successful World Cup ever. Thank you, John.
Thank you think America will win? Yeah, can we win it, Mr. President?
I don't know. That's I watched some of those teams go around. They go down that field. I don't know. But let me ask you, what chance does America have of winning?
Well, the home team always has a good chance to win. It depends
see,
how
he's
it
a good
starts.
diplomat.
No, but it has some good
we have a
players.
shot. We have
of course, you have a chance.
Will Barrett be going to any of the games, Mr. President?
I'd love to have him. He'd love to. He's very tall. Maybe we could make him a goalie. Right? The goalies are very tall now, right?
Yeah, goalies are very tall.
The goalies, well, he'd be a perfect goalie.
100%.
And his height will be
get it.
great.
20,
So we'll put him on the
26
American.
FIFA World
but
Cup.
do the Americans have
That's going
a
to be the
chance
World
of,
Cup as
like,
we know
getting
it.
into the
It's the
quarterfinals?
biggest, probably the biggest event in sports, I guess, Johnny, right? On December 5th of this year, the 2026 FIFA World Cup draw will take place at the Kennedy Center. Some people refer to it as the Trump Kennedy
You know,
Center.
it's amazing. The
But we're not
talent
prepared
is
to do
really
that
good.
quite
You
yet,
watch
maybe
these
in a
things.
week
I
or
went
so.
to the game.
But right here in
weeks ago.
Washington, D.C., it's a
Big
tremendous
upset. If you
honor
look
to
at
bring
these
the
people,
global
they're so-
event
the
to
way
this
they
incredible
pass.
group of
It's
people
amazing.
and these
It's really
unbelievable
amazing.
athletes,
It's
the
a
best
great art.
athletes in the
It's
world,
great
to the
talent.
cultural center
You
of
know,
our
the
nation's
impression-
capital. I just left the Kennedy Center. We're spending a lot of money wisely on making it really beautiful. It's going to be beautiful again.
He's the boss. Well,
Washington, D.C.
It's going to be great. And I think the
way,
American team.
in Washington, D.C., we have the lowest crime numbers they've had in years. Zero, sounds like it's a horrible thing to say, but I might as well say it. Zero murders in the last week since we've done this. That's the first time in memory that that's happened, if you can believe it, how pathetic that is to have to even say it. And I'm tired of listening to these people say how safe it was before we got here. It was unsafe. It was horrible. And Mayor Bowser better get her act straight or she won't be mayor very long, because we'll take it over with the federal government, run it like it's supposed to be run. The numbers were horrible. It was a crime-infested rat hole. And they do have a lot of rats. We're getting rid of them too. And we've made a lot of progress. And it was extremely unsafe, and now it's extremely safe. We had virtually no crime. The number was down 87%, and I'm trying to figure out where was the 13%, because I don't think it existed. The National Guard has been unbelievable, and they're working with the police, and they have some very good people in there. They have some people that shouldn't be police, actually, but they have some great people there. And the Washington, D.C. is a whole different place, and Johnny, I'm sure you'll be happy to hear that too, actually.
Oh, yes.
But it's a whole different place. People are excited again. They're going out to restaurants again. That was the other thing I saw numbers. That restaurant business is down in the last week. No. Restaurant business, you can't get into a restaurant. Just really lying people. And that's why people don't understand how bad and how dishonest the press is. I saw one poll that had us at 19% favorable on what we're doing with Washington. And then I saw another one that has us 94% favorable. And I can tell you the 94% is correct. The others are fake, just fake news. They got to get their act together. So bad for our country, so sick, actually. So Washington, D.C. is really doing unbelievably well. And the Kennedy Center that we're fixing, I was just there all morning with contractors. We're making it unbelievable. It's going to be unbelievable. It's got great bones, but it needs a lot of work. The World Cup draw will set up the group stage of competition. 48 teams will play in 104 games across 16 North American cities, from Seattle to Vancouver to Atlanta to Miami. It's going to be so exciting for our country. The 2026 FIFA World Cup will be one of the largest and most complex events. This will be one of the greatest events, one of the largest. In a way, it's like Johnny said it better. It's like having many Super Bowls in a short period of time. Because each one of these games essentially is a Super Bowl. Some of them are bigger than Super Bowls, actually. But they're essentially, each one of these games is like a Super Bowl. The 2026 FIFA World Cup will be the largest, most complex set of events in sports history. And the Kennedy Center will give it a phenomenal kickoff, and we'll be involved, and they'll be working over there for quite a bit of time. We have it all set that they can stay there for the big events, the big press conferences and everything else. And they'll be in a very safe capital. That will be nice. You don't have to worry about walking down the street, Johnny, okay?
Thank you.
But you could handle yourself.
I could.
Okay. Already, FIFA is projecting 6 million loyal fans will attend the World Cup events next year, and 6 billion more are going to be watching back home, and they think the $6 billion number is going to be actually a low number. And this will drive more than $30 billion into the U.S. economy and create 185,000 American jobs in a short period of time, too. No sporting event attracts more attention, more fans, more viewers, or more revenue than the FIFA World Cup. And again, I'll just say it's the World Cup, and it's the biggest thing there is in sports, and we have it. And I got it in my first administration, and I was really somewhat devastated, as devastated as I can be. I don't have time to get too devastated. I was very happy that today, as you saw, the group that does this, a government group, radical left group, announced that Trump was right.
Isn't it just
$4 trillion
incredible place
worth of tariffs, that the $4 trillion are going to reduce the deficit by numbers far greater than they ever expected or heard of.
Right here.
And by the way, the stock market went up 1,000 points.
Right through here.
That was as of 10 minutes ago. I can't tell you what happened. A lot of things happened. But the stock market's up almost 1,000 points.
It's going to be fantastic.
And it's basically on the news that the release that just came out
You can let them come
from
in.
government that the tariffs that everybody was talking about, that the whole world respects us for because of what we did.
Please, come on.
The tariffs are going to be at $4 trillion. They're going to reduce the deficit by $4 trillion, Mr. Vice President. What do you
Pretty good,
think?
sir.
Too bad it's not 5, right? It's had a huge impact, and the stock market is way up. But this will drive more than $30 billion in U.S. economy and create 185,000 American jobs. No sporting event attracts more attention or more fans or anything else. And
Well, thank you very
I just
much.
look forward to the
It's a
draw.
great
So
honor
we're going to have the draw,
have you here.
essentially, Johnny, at
Special
the
place, White House
Kennedy
is special
Center.
no matter where
And
you're
by that
from.
time, it'll be in even better
Represents
shape.
so
We're
much.
working on it.
It
It'll
really
take,
is
it's about a
beautiful.
year
Thank you
project to make it.
For,
It'll be great. It'll be fantastic.
all of the
You
wonderful
see the way
things
this
that
is
took place
looking
today. We've
nice.
had a very successful
I
day
can't
thus
tell you
far.
how much that gold costs. A
Important
lot of money.
discussions as we work
There's
to
nothing like
end the
gold, and
killing
there's
and
nothing
stop
like
the war in
solid
Ukraine.
gold,
We're
but
all working for the
we-
same
this-
goal.
This
Very
beautiful
simple
office
goal. We want to
needed
stop
it.
the
It
killing.
had to be
get
representative
this
when
settled.
we took it over. It was dirty,
I've,
not clean.
just had
I
the
immediately changed the
honor
chair
of
and had
being
the
with
this
President
beautiful desk
Zelensky.
renovated.
All
Brought out
of
by the White
the
House.
discussions that we've had,
People
we
that
covered
do
a lot
this,
of
they did a great
territory.
job to send it out. We have a craftsman
I
who's
spoke
great.
indirectly with
But
President Putin
this
today.
was
We're
not
going to call
appropriate for
President
the
Putin
Oval
right
Office
after
when I
this
took
meeting.
over. And now you look at all those
I'm
paintings
sure
you're
we're gonna
allowed
have
to turn back.
solid meeting,
All of
good
these
meeting,
are great
maybe a great
presidents,
meeting,
and they were all in the
and we're
vaults.
going to try and work
They
out
were
a
in vaults
trilat
for
after
some
that, and
some
see
cases
if
much
we
more
can
than 100
get it
years.
finished.
And
Put
now
this
they're
to
proudly
sleep,
hanging on the
because
Oval
this is
Office walls,
not
and I can't
since the
imagine anybody
Second World
changing
War
it.
has
They
there been
were
anything like
they were
this.
buried in vaults
So
for
I'm
over 100
honored to
years. many of
welcome
them.
NATO
So it's
Secretary
very
General
exciting. People come in, they
Mark
really love it. They love what we're
Rutte,
doing
great gentleman,
here. They love what we're
great
doing in D.C.
political
and they
leader
love what
in
we're doing,
Europe
most importantly, in the
generally,
country
but,
and the
now
world.
he's the
I'd like to
NATO
ask Johnny
Secretary
to say a
General, and
few
you're doing a
words. He's the head
fantastic
of the
job.
whole
Thank you very
thing.
much,
He's
Mark.
been there for a long
Prime
time.
Minister Starmer,
Probably the most respected
United
man in
Kingdom,
sports.
our friend
He's
and my
amazing,
friend, and,
actually. Works very hard.
doing really
and
well.
He's got the
And
biggest
people
event
like
in the
him a
world
lot.
coming
We
right
all
here
like
to the
him.
United
Everyone
States.
knows
And a little,
President
we did a
Macron of
little
France,
for Canada.
who's
We
been
did a
with
little
me
for
from the
Mexico.
beginning,
We
one
thought,
of
see, I'm a good citizen.
the first people
I
I
said,
met
let them have a little piece.
is a
So we gave a
foreign
little to Canada. see how
dignitary,
nice
and
they are?
I liked
we
him
gave
from day one.
A little bit to Mexico.
And I like him even
And,
more now.
Johnny,
That's pretty
please,
good.
a
That's
few words.
unusual.
Thank you,
That's a pretty unusual thing.
Great honor for me to
Prime
be here
Minister
with you
Maloney of Italy,
today,
who's a
President, Vice President,
really a great
Excellencies.
leader and an inspiration over
Fantastic
there.
to announce
She's
what you
served now,
said,
even though she's a very
which
young
is
person.
the
She's
final
served there for a
goal
long
of the
period of
FIFA
time relative to
World Cup.
others.
The
They
5th
don't last very
December
long. You've
here
lasted
in
a
the
long
capital.
time. You're going to be there a long
in
time.
the Kennedy Center in Washington.
Chancellor Merz of Germany, who is
all over the world,
a very strong person and a very strong leader and very highly respected in Germany. And he's my friend, and it's an honor to have him as my friend. Thank you very much. You look great with your tan. Where did you get that tan? I want to get a tan like that.
The biggest,
President Stubb of Finland,
not just a sports event, it's
he's
a social event as well.
he's somebody that we're all here.
Uniting the world here in America. And we're very proud
You
of
look
that.
better than I've ever
And
seen you
those
look.
teams, those national teams
But
who will come
you've
here to
done a
participate
great job, and we wanted to
in
have you
this,
here
draw
because you're
with the
somebody that we all
coaches, with the
respect.
presidents, they will all
And
be proud
you've had a lot to do with the success,
be
I
part
think,
of
and the
writing
potential
this
success. And
history.
thank you
And
very
that's
much
why we
for being
brought
here. We
as
appreciate
well
it.
this, which
And the
is,
President of the European
winners'
Commission,
trophy.
Ursula
It is
von
the
der
trophy
Leyen, who
that
is
the winner of the FIFA
somebody
World
that we
Cup
just made a
wins.
big deal with.
Only
With all of those countries, I don't know. I think you might be more powerful than all these guys at this
countries,
table. I don't know.
and then those who
But
win can touch it.
we had a great
Because it's for
negotiation.
winners only.
And
since you are a winner,
you're respected
of
all
course
over
you
the
can
world. So I want to
as
thank you very
well,
much for being here. It's a
touch it.
great
It's
honor
pretty
to have
heavy.
you.
It's the winner trophy.
The Alaska
last
Summit
one who lifted
reinforced
that
my
is
belief
Leo
that
Messi.
while difficult
Lionel
pieces
Messi of
within
Argentina.
reach, and I believe
And
that
here it is
in a
in
very
the Oval
significant
Office
step,
in,
President Putin
the
agreed
White
that
House.
Russia
Can I keep
would
it?
accept
Well,
security
you can
guarantees
keep it.
for Ukraine.
We're
This is one of the key points that we need to consider, and we're going to be considering that at the table also.
Put it right below the end.
What, essentially, I'm optimistic that collectively we can reach an agreement that would deter any future aggression against Ukraine, and I actually think there won't be. I think that's even overrated, largely overrated, but we're going to find out. And I think that the European nations are going to take a lot of the burden. We're going to help them, and we're going to make it very secure. We also need to discuss the possible exchanges of territory, taking into consideration the current line of contact. That means the war zone, the war lines that are Pretty obvious, very sad, actually, to look at it. And negotiating positions, President Putin, also, you have President of Ukraine,
most of the
who
draws,
is,
all of the draws?
you just met a little while ago.
How are you going to do
We're going to try and get a three-party meeting, maybe as soon as we can. And I have a feeling you and President Putin are going to work something out. Ultimately, this is a decision that can only be made by President Zelensky and by the people of Ukraine working also together in agreement with President Putin. And I just think that's very good things are going to come of it. So I hope we have a good meeting, and if we can have a good meeting, I'll set up a meeting with President Putin. And if you'd like, I'll go to that meeting. And not that I want to do that, but I will do that because we want to save a lot of people from dying. A lot of people are dying, and we got to save them. We got to save them. 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 people sometimes a week. All of us would obviously prefer an immediate ceasefire while we work on a lasting peace, and maybe something like that could happen. As of this moment, it's not happening.
It's worse. It was worse.
President Zelensky and President Putin can talk a little bit more about that. You know,
I guarantee you, he wouldn't be
the 6 or so wars that we stopped, we haven't had a ceasefire.
But now we have total safety.
And so I don't know that it's necessary. You can do it through the war. But it would be, I'd like the ceasefire from another standpoint. You immediately stop the killing. But I believe a peace agreement at the end of all of this is something that's very attainable, and it can be done in the near future. With all of the wars that I got involved in, we only have this one left.
A lot of people that shouldn't be here.
Of course, as I walk out the door, there'll probably be a new one starting, and I'll get that stopped too. But I thought this was going to be one of the easier ones. It's actually one of the most difficult and very complex. The next step would be for a trilateral meeting, and that will be worked out. And I just look forward to working and having a great result. We're going to spend a lot of time today talking about, and we're really honored you guys came over. I mean, these are the heads of major countries, and respected all over Europe. And they speak for, largely, I think I should say, but pretty much for the other countries of Europe.
And we haven't had to bring in
we will come to a resolution today, I think, on almost everything, including probably the security.
After we do this, we'll
that's
go to another
pretty much the
location.
story.
We'll
I'd
make
like
it
to say,
safe
Mr.
also.
President,
We're
would
gonna
you
make
like
our
to say
country very
something?
safe. We're gonna make
You
our
have the
cities
media. If you want,
very,
you could
very
come
safe.
over and you could
Chicago's a
stand.
mess.
You
You have an
could use
incompetent
mine, or
mayor.
you could just turn
Mostly
around, whichever
incompetent.
you feel comfortable
And
with.
we'll straighten that one out probably next. That'll be our next one
I
after
can,
this. And
speak
it won't even be tough.
Thank you
And the
so
people
much.
in
I think that
Chicago,
we had very
Mr.
good
Vice
conversation
President,
with President
are
Trump,
screaming
and
for us
it
to
really
come.
was
They're wearing red
the
hats,
best
just
one.
like this one.
Or sorry,
They're
maybe
wearing
the
red
best
hats.
one will be in the future.
African
But it
American
was really
ladies,
good. And we
beautiful
spoke
ladies,
about
will say,
very
please, President Trump,
sensitive
come to
points.
Chicago.
The first one is
Please.
security guarantees, and we are very
I
happy
did great with the black
President,
vote,
that
as you know.
all the
and,
leaders are
they want
here, and
something to happen.
security
So I
in
think
Ukraine
Chicago will
depends
be our
on the
next,
United
and then we'll help
States and on
with,
you and on
Europe.
those
We're gonna
leaders who
help
are
with-
with us
And I
in
think
our
really, I
hearts.
think
They
a
have
lot
been
of,
on
and a lot of these
online
people that
before
you see on
yesterday,
television,
and etc. So
they're
a lot of
including the
countries
people in
on
this
the
audience. They'll say
side
bad
of
things
Ukraine,
about
our
me,
people,
and then they'll
all of
say,
us
thank
want
God
to
he's
finish
here.
this war,
Because half of them
stop
got
Russia,
mugged.
and stop this war.
And they don't want
We
to get
spoke
mugged
about
again.
it,
But
and we will speak
they
more
work for
about security
they work
guarantees.
for
This is
stupid
very
people
important that the
that
United
are
States
radical left.
gives
And they're made to
such
do
strong
things and say
signal
things that they don't want to be
and is ready
saying.
for
But
security
the people right here are all happy
And
because
the
you're not
second
going to be
point,
mugged
or maybe the
in
first
Washington, D.C.
humanitarian
anymore.
direction, very
I just want to
important
say
to
Johnny's
change
been
all
my
the
friend for a
business,
long
and I
time. He's an
think that
incredible guy.
President will
And
help,
we
and I
will
was
lay
very
out the
thankful
red carpet.
to your wife
Andrew, you're
again,
going to
Mr.
be
President, for the
fantastic. Rick is going to be
letter
everything
about
Rick
our
ever
adopted
touches. Has always worked out.
children,
And he's
and
working with me
I
at the
hope
Kennedy
that
Center.
really
And his very good friend was an
can
actor
be
on Broadway for
historical
5
for the
years,
people
right?
to bring
I assume
kids
he's helping
back
us a little bit,
to the
right?
families
And
be happy.
Andrew, you're all
And
excited
their
about
families.
it?
Absolutely.
Yes,
You'd like
this
to say
is
something?
so important, and I'm happy that we discussed it. This track with the President Trump, and I hope that we will find decisions. And then what is very important that all the sensitive things, territorial, etc., we will discuss on the level of leaders during Trilateral meeting, and President Trump will try to organize such meeting, and he said that he will come or not come.
Andrew Giuliani, so his father
Ukraine
was
will be
really
happy
the greatest man in the history
if you
of
will
New York.
participate.
there,
I think by far.
Yeah, thank you. And I think this is very important.
City, a city that
Yes,
was
so
really under
security
siege. Probably most people thought it was
bringing
going to
kids
survive.
back
They turned it around.
and all our
It
people,
was a
not
great,
only
great
warriors,
mayor.
first of all
And,
warriors
then they,
and all the
treated him
civilians,
very, very
journalists, a lot
unfairly.
of people
You
in
go
prison.
back and
So
tell your father
we
all of the
need them
things that have come
back.
out over the last couple of
And
months through
guarantees
Tulsi
which
and
will
through,
work for the
all of
years
the
we
people,
spoke about it.
Cash,
And
everybody.
I showed the
They've
President
proven your father
a lot of
100%
details
correct. His
on
father
the
was treated so
battlefield, on the
unfairly.
map.
Your
Thank
father
you
has
so
been
much. Thank you for the map, by the
100%
way.
correct.
It was great.
Tell him we all love him.
I'm
Okay?
thinking how to take it
It's
back.
amazing.
We'll
What he had to
get
go
No,
through
I think that
was
we
very,
had
very unfair.
constructive,
Nasty.
specific
These are bad
meeting,
people.
and I'm very
Mr. Vice
thankful
President,
to
would you like to say something?
all
Well,
the
sure,
leaders
Mr.
who are
President, thank
here,
you, and
and
thanks
you
to Johnny
help
for
a
being here.
lot.
We're very thrilled
And,
about the World
so
Cup. Just to echo
we're
something
happy
the President said
that
about crime
we
in
have
Washington,
such big
D.C.
unity
This
today.
is the
Thank you,
national
Mr.
capital,
Thank you very much,
the greatest nation
Mr.
in the
President.
world.
I think
And
you'll
we
see
had
that
murder
President
rates just
Putin
a
really
few
would
weeks
like
ago
to do
that
something
rivaled
else.
some
I
of the
think
worst
when we
third world
set that
cities
up,
anywhere, even
when
in
we
very,
do, I
very
think it's
poor
going to be when,
regions
not
of
if.
the world.
I
Why
think
did
you're
we
going to see
accept that?
some
Why did
very
we allow it to happen?
really
We allowed it to
positive
happen
moves.
because we had broken
I know
leadership
there's
in
over
Washington,
1,000
D.C.,
prisoners,
and
and I know
unfortunately
they're
sitting
going to
behind the
release them.
President
Maybe
That's what we
they're
have
going to release
shown
them
in
very
just
soon,
under
like
2
immediately.
weeks of taking law
Which I think
enforcement
is
seriously
great.
is that the American
But
people
we
can
will,
have their streets
we're going to
back
set that up
if
today
their
after
leadership
this,
is willing to
after
put in
this
the time
meeting.
and the resources.
So
Mr.
very good
President,
and great
you've
remarks. I
shown in
appreciate
Washington,
it.
D.C.
Mark,
that we
as
can
head of
have
NATO,
safe
maybe you could
streets
say a
again.
few words.
We've
Yes,
just got to
I will
have
be
the
very
political
brief. I really want to
willpower
thank
to
you,
focus on the bad
President of the
guys
United
and to
States,
give the
dear
American
Donald, for the
people
fact
back their
that you,
communities.
as I said
We
before,
are
broke
focused
the
on doing
deadlock
that thanks to the President's leadership.
with President Putin by starting that dialogue. And I think it was in February that you had the first phone call, and from there we are now where we are today. And that is, I think if we play this well, we could end this. And we have to end. We have to stop the killing, we have to stop the destruction of Ukraine's infrastructure. It is a terrible war, so I'm really excited. And let's make the best out of today and make sure that from today onwards, we get this thing to an end as soon as possible. I really want to thank you for your leadership.
I saw
what
pictures
you
of
are
them
doing for
last
Vladimir,
night
but of
getting
course
off
also all the
vans,
European
you know,
colleagues.
and I
It is
saw
really
some bad
crucial.
ones
And the
running,
fact
but they're
that
not running
you
so much anymore. They're
have
not
said,
there.
I'm
They're
willing
just
to
not even-
participate in
they're
the
not even
security
trying.
guarantees
You're totally
is
safe.
a
Now,
big
there'll
step.
be something
It's really a
happening
breakthrough,
sometime. I don't know,
and
maybe it won't be
it makes
for a
all
long
the
time,
difference.
but,
So also
this
thank you
was
for that.
every
Well,
night
NATO
we
also
get
has agreed
reports
from
of people
2% to
being
5%, which
mugged.
is something that
There's
is a
one woman on
massive amount of
television
money.
last night, she had
And
a
it's
badly
2% that wasn't
busted up
always paid
nose,
to 5% that
and
is
she's
paid.
hard like our
That's a big
streets, the way
difference,
they used
and
to be.
so we appreciate that.
And,
That's
she thinks it's
a great
gonna
move.
happen
Thank you
by-
very much.
by doing nothing.
Ursula, maybe on
And,
behalf of the
they said, "What
Commission, you
happened
could
to
say a
nose?"
couple of
She
words.
got slugged.
Thank you
By a
very
guy
much.
walking down the
It's a
street,
pleasure to
slugged.
be here.
Her
It's a
nose will
very
never be the
important
same, I
moment.
guarantee you, unless it
Indeed,
unless it
we're
takes a
here,
pretty good turn.
Europeans, as friends
She
and
was
allies.
really
We
for
had a
us.
fantastic NATO
She
summit.
sort of said, well, maybe something has to
Together
happen
the
before
two
this happened
largest
to me.
and
She
biggest
got whacked.
economies in the world.
And,
We had
I
the
don't think she'll
largest
ever be
trade
the
deal
same.
ever.
She almost became, she was a half a
now
Trump
we are
fan.
here
A woman that
to
would have
work
never
together with
been a
you
Trump fan.
on a
But
just
she
and
was,
lasting peace
she was
for
hit
Ukraine.
hard.
Stop
It's not
the
going to
killing.
happen
This
anymore.
is really
Not going to happen
our
anymore.
common
But then we're going to
interest. Stop the
beautify the
And
city.
indeed,
too.
it's
That's
very
where I
good
was
to hear
today
that we're working
at
on the
Kennedy
security
Center. We're going to
guarantees,
beautify
Article
the
5
city
life security
like it has.
guarantees.
And we're working
So
with Clark
important.
Construction,
But I
the
want to
biggest
thank you also
construction
that you
company in
mentioned
Chicago.
the thousands of
And
Ukrainian
in Chicago
children
and
that have been abducted.
Washington.
And as a
And,
mother and
the head
grandmother,
of Clark is
every
going
single
all over the world,
child has
actually.
to go
But
back to
Washington,
its
I would say,
family.
is their home. That's
This
where they do the
should
best
be
work.
one of our
the
main
biggest work.
priorities also
And
in
they're
these
doing
negotiations to make sure that
they've
the
been doing a
children
fantastic
come back
job.
to
So
Ukraine to their
you're
families.
going to have a fantastic,
Thank you, and we
clean,
did.
beautiful
I was
place.
just
It's going to be better
thinking
than
we're
it
here
ever
for a
was
different
before.
reason,
Literally
but
better than it ever
we
was
just a
before.
couple of
We'll
weeks
get it
ago
done
made the
very
largest
quickly.
trade deal
And
in
I want to
history.
thank
So
Clark
that's
because
a big,
they
that's a big
doing
thing,
a lot
and
of work,
congratulations.
a lot of
That's
different
great.
locations.
Thank you
but,
very much, Ursula.
They've been fantastic for getting
Mr.
us the right
Chancellor,
contractors and the
Germany?
people that can really do the
Very,
job
yeah.
right. Johnny, do
Very
you wanna
great
say
leader.
something?
Yes, I have
Mr. President, many thanks for having us today. I think this is extremely helpful that we are meeting and hearing that the two of you are having such a good meeting today here in Washington. The next steps ahead are the more complicated
on the
ones.
10th of September.
The path is open. You opened it last Friday.
World Cup.
But now
And we have
the
the
way
first
is open
ticket here.
for complicated negotiations.
For
And
you.
to be honest, we all would like to see ceasefire in the latest from the next week on. I can't imagine that the next meeting would take place without a ceasefire. So let's work on that and let's try to put pressure on Russia, because the credibility of these efforts we are undertaking today are depending on at least a ceasefire from the beginning of the serious negotiations from the next step on. So I would like to emphasize this aspect and would like to see a ceasefire from the next meeting, which should be a trilateral meeting wherever it takes place.
Well, we're going to let the president go over and talk to the president. And we'll see how that works out, and if we can do that. I will say, and again I say it, in the 6 wars that I've settled, I haven't had a ceasefire. We just got into negotiations, and one of the wars was, as you know, in the Congo was 31 years long. Another one that we settled last week with 2 great countries was 35 years going on, and we had no ceasefire. So if we can do the ceasefire, great. And if we don't do a ceasefire, because many other points were given to us, many points were given to us, great points.
It was a country that was going to fail. Look, even
Well,
today
thank you
where
very
they
much,
say
Donald,
$4 trillion
Mr. President, for hosting us today in this important meeting. And I think it is an important day, a new phase. After 3 years and a half that we didn't see any kind of sign from the Russian side that there was a willing for dialogue. So something is changing, something has changed, thanks to you. Thanks also to the stalling in the battlefield, which was achieved with the bravery of Ukrainians and with the unity that we all provided to Ukraine. And the reason why I mention it is that we also have to remind that if we want to reach peace and if we want to guarantee justice, we have to do it united. So that's why it's a very good day, the one we are in. You can obviously count on Italy as it was from the beginning. We are on the side of Ukraine, and we do absolutely support your efforts towards peace.
It's untouchable. You could fry an
we
egg
will
on
talk
it.
about many important topics. The first one is security guarantees, how to be sure that it won't happen again, which is the precondition of every kind of peace. I'm happy that we will discuss about that. I'm happy that we will begin from a proposal, which is the, let's say, Article 5 model, which was Italian at the beginning. So we are always ready to bring our proposals for peace, for dialogue. It's something we have to build together to guarantee peace and to defend the security of our nation. So thank you, Mr. President, for hosting us.
Black. You know, it really looked good. Is that going to be a 2-coat job or a 1-coat?
Thank you, Mr. President, for organizing this meeting and for your commitment. And everything was said that I have to. I just have to say here, everybody around this table is in favor of peace.
I see you're out there painting with a lot of painters
and we worked very hard, and we've worked very hard in the past few years to have a peace which is a robust and long-standing
Mr. President, we're delighted to be here today.
This is why the idea of a trilateral meeting is very important, because this is the only way to fix it. And by the way, I think as a follow-up, we would need probably a quadrilateral meeting, because when we speak about security guarantees, we speak about the whole security of the European continent. And this is why we are all united here with Ukraine on this matter. In order to organize a trilateral meeting, your idea to ask for truce or ceasefire, at least to stop the killings, as we discussed, is a necessity. And we all support this idea. And in order to have such a long-standing peace for Ukraine and for the whole continent, we do need the security guarantees. And the first one is clearly a credible Ukrainian army for the years and decades to come. And the second one is our own commitment, all of us. And we worked very hard during the past few months amongst the coalition of the willing, with the support of NATO, to build the pillars of security guarantees and our commitment. And you can be sure that the Europeans are very lucid about the fact that they have their fair share in these security guarantees for Ukraine, but their own security
process set up that we'll be implementing on getting visas
So you can count on us
approved.
as we
Everybody will be
count on you
thoroughly vetted, but they'll be
in order
welcome
to
to this
deliver
country. It'll happen
this,
quickly, and we're
for this
excited for them to
peace
come.
for
So
both
I
Ukraine
would
and Europe.
hope that around
Thank
the
you very
world
much.
people know that the
Mr.
United
Prime
States is excited to bring their families.
Thank you very much,
to
Mr.
enjoy
President,
this
and thank you for hosting us
America
here.
welcomes the world.
Can I start where Emmanuel started, which is we all want peace. The war in Ukraine has had a huge impact, particularly on the Ukrainians who bore the brunt of it. But it's also had an impact on Europe and on the United Kingdom as another family or community that hasn't been affected. And when we talk about security, we're talking about security not just of Ukraine, we're talking about security of Europe and the United Kingdom as well, which is why this is such an important issue. I think this is such an important meeting. As a group, I think we've had a discussion on the phone a number of times, Mr. President, but be able now to be around the table to take it forward. And I really feel that we can, I think, with the right approach this afternoon, make real progress, particularly on the security guarantees. On your indication of security guarantees of some sort of Article 5 style guarantees fits with what we've been doing with the Coalition of Willing, which we started some months ago, bringing countries together and showing that we were prepared to step up to the plate when it came to security. With you coming alongside the US, alongside what we've already developed, I think we could take a really important step forward today, a historic step actually, to come out of this meeting in terms of security for Ukraine, security in Europe. I also feel that we can make real progress towards a just and lasting outcome. Obviously, that has to involve Ukraine and a trilateral meeting is a sensible next step. So thank you for being prepared to take that forward, because I think if we can ensure that that is the progress out of this meeting, both security guarantees and some sort of progress on trilateral meeting of some sort to bring some of the difficult issues to a head, then I think today will be seen as a very important day in recent years. In relation to a conflict which has gone on for 3 and a bit years, and so far nobody's been able to bring it to this point, so thank you for that. Well, thank you very much, and it's very interesting because this is the first for the White House. They can't say that very often. I've seen a lot over the years, since 1800, 1799, to be almost exact. But this is the first where we've had so many prime ministers, presidents, the heads of European nations. And by the way, Alex, I'd like you to say a couple of words too. You're a young, powerful man. Before I finish up, I want you to say a couple of words. Go ahead.
But that there's also broad concern
I'll
about
take
him. What are the concerns
my
that
wife and try to convince her. Thank you very much, Mr. President. I think in the past 2 weeks we've probably had more progress in ending this war than we have in the past 3.5 years. And I think the fact that we're around this table today is very much symbolic in the sense that it's Team Europe and Team United States helping Ukraine. And the progress that we're looking at of this meeting is about security guarantees, which are a big part of this. And then, of course, moving towards a process with a trilateral meeting with you and President Putin and President Zelensky. Some of the international media might wonder, why is the President of Finland here? I think the reason is probably that we might come from a small country, but we have a long border with Russia, over 800 miles. And we, of course, have our own historical experience with Russia from World War II, the Winter War and the War of Continuation. And if I look at the silver lining of where we stand right now, we found a solution in 1944, and I'm sure that we'll be able to find a solution in 2025 to end Russia's war of aggression and find and get a lasting and just peace. The situation is very difficult, but that's why we're here.
Thank you, Alex, very much. Good job. So we're going to be meeting for a while, and we're going to discuss some of the issues. And I don't think there's any issue that's overly complex. It's at a point now where people want to do things. I really do believe. I've known him for a long time. I've always had a great relationship with him. I think that President Putin wants to find an answer to. And we'll see. And in a certain period of time, not very far from now, a week or 2 weeks, we're going to know whether or not we're going to solve this, or is this horrible fighting going to continue? We'll do our best to get it ended. And I believe you have two willing parties, and usually that's good news, but two willing parties that want to make a deal. And we'll journey together, and we'll go over and we'll see if it can be done. And it's possible it might not be able to be done. On the other hand, it's possible it will. It will save thousands and thousands of lives a week.
What's your message to the mayors?
And so it's something we really have to do. And, or at least we have to give it our best. So you can give it your best. And I think we may have a very good outcome. So I want to thank you all, and the media, I want to thank you. We're going to be staying here for a little while, then we're going to walk over to the Oval Office. And we're going to have another little discussion about similar matters. And then they're going to go home to their great countries and report. And I'm going to remain here and work, and you're going to go and work. We're going to be working. We may be in a different location, but that's what we know how to do is work. But I want to thank the media's been actually very fair, generally speaking, very fair. I think it's important that they're fair because this is it's a very important. It's a very important subject. We have to get it ended.
It's the most complex.
And so that's all we ask for is fairness with the media. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And they're not even close to getting their permits. And now they're talking about taking some of those sites and building low-income housing on them. These are high-end neighborhoods. And I'm all for low-income housing. I built a lot of low-income housing. I know all about 236. I know every program that there is in the government. I used every one of them. I know more about low-income housing than probably almost anybody. And it's great. It's fine. It's wonderful. But you don't build it in Pacific Palisades. You don't build it there. And you don't build it in the other areas that burn down. So they're talking about putting up low-income housing. And you talk about riots. They're going to have riots if that happens because you're taking the people's property away. They want to build their houses, and they're unable to get permits from the mayor and from the governor. And that's a terrible thing. But, and let me tell you, if I didn't send in the troops in Los Angeles, Johnny wouldn't be in Los Angeles. You wouldn't be having your World Cup there. I sent in the troops, and we kept it. And even the police commissioner, the sheriff, and the police commissioner, they all said the same thing. They said,
as you know, we could have never handled what was happening. European Union.
You were there. He said we could have never
Japan
handled
deal is done.
And then you hear Gavin
Many of the other
after it's
deals
all quelled.
are done. Indonesia was a very big deal, big country actually.
They couldn't have.
And
if they could have, I would
wonderful, hopefully wonderful for both sides.
Is on crime prevention.
But it's literally trillions of dollars ultimately being brought into our country.
To DC, like
and it was something that had to be done, and it is being
they
done,
have
and
it
it's
in
being
some
done
states, and they
properly.
feel strongly about it.
We're now negotiating with various other countries, and the rest we're just sending out
I'm a Second Amendment person.
the bill to
Very
send a
simple.
bill.
People
We
have to
send
be
a
able to
letter
protect
saying
themselves.
that we'll
Especially
pay a
like in
certain
Washington,
tariff.
you walk down the street. a guy
Obviously, that's
comes up
awesome
and
because
slugs
you
you.
have,
He's got a pistol in
as you
his
know,
hand.
hundreds of
You can
countries,
be
a lot
tough,
of countries
you
out
can be in
there.
great shape, you can be a
So
powerful
we
person,
look at the deficit,
or you can be
we
a
look
guy
at
that
the
weighs 100
surplus,
pounds with a gun in your hand.
and we look at the country and
I'll
how the
bet on the
country's
guy with a
treated
gun
us.
100%
And
of
lots
the
of other
time,
things
right?
go into the equation.
And so you need protection. So I'm a
And
Second
we make a
Amendment
decision
person.
as
Yeah,
to
please.
President Trump
what
said
that
this
tariff
morning that
will
you were
be,
working
and
with
it's
Congress
pretty
to get $2
standard
billion
letter
to
from
help clean up DC.
that point
Have
on.
you
And
had any
I
conversations
want to
with
tell you,
Mike
this is
Johnson
something
and
to me,
John
it's a
Thune about where they're
VA
gonna get
bill
that
signing,
Of which money?
and it's
He
very
said this
important to
morning
me
that
and
he had $2 billion
to
from
many of the
Congress to
people
help
in
clean
this
up
Yeah,
room.
I've spoken to Mike Johnson.
So I'm thrilled to
I've
sign
spoken
the
John
VA
Thune,
Home Loan Program
Senate,
Reform Act
and,
into law,
I think it's going to be very easy
and
to
that
get.
is something that
be
they've
not a lot
wanted
of
to
money.
do for a
I
long
wouldn't even know
time.
where to spend the number
This
that you
legislation
mentioned, but
provides
it's gonna be,
desperately needed
money
relief to
beautify the
veterans
city.
and their
They're
families who have
ready.
fallen behind on their
Everybody wants to
mortgages,
save DC.
of which
In one way,
there
it's the
are a lot
easiest.
because we have
The
somebody that
violence
doesn't want
was
to
more
lower
than any
interest
other
rates.
city in the country, actually, by
Probably
far.
won't lower them today.
It
It's
may have been more
really
than any other city in
sort
the
of an
world. that you
amazing
could think.
situation.
You know, we looked at some of the worst cities in the world.
It helps
that was worse.
keep
And
our
that's why
promise to end
it
veterans'
angers me to
homelessness,
see
and
the mayor
we're
saying
going to
about
do
how
that
they have it on the
for
side. Not on the
America.
slide,
We're
it was
going to do
worse
that
than
for our
ever.
great veterans. I'm thrilled
Yeah,
to
we
be
have no
joined
problem getting
by
that
the
money.
bill
That money would come
sponsor,
out of Congress.
Congressman
I think it'll be
Derek
bipartisan.
Van Orden.
I mean, I would imagine Democrats would
Hello, Derek.
vote for that one.
That's
Well, I don't know if there is a
These two
deadline
gentlemen
because
are
if I declare a national
terrific.
emergency, which
They
this
are
was,
working
ends the
together,
deadline.
and they've been working together, Michael.
So, I mean, I keep saying about a 30-day deadline.
I just want to
which we
thank you
have
both, and
22
I'll
days
ask
left
you to
or
say a
something,
couple of
but,
words.
If I
An estimated
think we're in great shape,
61,000
that's one
American
thing, but if
veterans
I
are in
don't,
danger of
I'm gonna just
losing
say
their
it's a-
homes, as
It's
you
a
know.
national emergency, and
But
if I
thanks
have
to
a
this
national
bill, the
emergency,
Department of
I can
Veterans
keep
Affairs will be
the troops there
empowered
as long
to
as I want.
pay
The people are
loan
not gonna
holders
wanna have
the
to do it.
necessary
30
amount to
days,
prevent
you know, it's one thing to get
foreclosures
them out,
on our
it's
veterans,
another
so our
thing to
veterans
keep
won't
them
be
out for
foreclosed and put
a long
out
period
onto
of
the
time.
streets. It's
You've
very
gotta
important.
train
This
people.
bill
You
also
can't do
creates
this.
a
You can't
5-year
pop people
partial
over the
claim
head.
program that
And a lot
could
of those
benefit
people are
up
in
to
courts right now, going to
3.7
court. They're
million
gonna go to jail
veterans.
for a
That's the
long
kind of
time.
numbers you're talking
So
about.
that's going to
Speaks
take
up.
more than 30 days.
The cost of the
But if
program
I
are
have
fully
to, I'll
offset
declare a
and
national
will
emergency.
add nothing
Which I don't
at
think
all
I'll
to
have
debt.
do. Yeah.
This is common sense legislation that overwhelming support and
Yeah, I think
passed
I'll know
unanimously
the attitude
in the House
of
and the
Russia
Senate.
and
Wow.
frankly of Ukraine. It takes
That's
two.
when was the last time that happened?
Well,
That's
then I'm going to
pretty-
make a decision
pretty
as to what we do.
My administration is committed to doing everything possible to ensure that our veterans are treated with respect and treated as well as anybody in this country. They're so important, they're so great, they've suffered
Or
so
do we do
much,
nothing?
many
And say it's your
cases.
fight?
In
Look,
May, I
would
signed
have
an
never
executive
been in
order
this
to
war if I were
open
president.
the
You wouldn't
National
have-
Center
you
for
wouldn't have had this
Warrior
war. It was never gonna
Independence in
happen.
Los Angeles,
This was
California, which
caused
will
by
house up to 6,000 homeless
Stupid people.
veterans.
Fought.
And until we came
it was
along
well, how
and
do we
treated
know?
the
It was
veterans
for
far
4
worse than
years.
the illegal
It was never even a subject.
the
And
illegal
Vladimir
immigrants that
knew,
came in, they were
and
staying
you
in
see his
hotels,
picture right
luxury
here. It was
hotels,
nice
and the
that he
veterans
said-
are staying outside of the
Vladimir
sidewalk
knew
on the same hotel. Some
very
pictures are
strongly.
just incredible.
we
In
wouldn't have
addition,
stood
we'll
for
also be opening
wouldn't
a
have happened.
full-service VA center in New
100%
Hampshire,
wouldn't have happened, but
which
it
is
did
the
happen.
only state in the
And now they're
union
losing
to
from
not
5
have
to
a
7
VA center. And I
young
made that
kids.
promise
Think
to
of
the
it, you're a
people of
parent, and your
New
son is
Hampshire
leaving. He's
a
Russian
long
or
while
he's
ago,
Ukrainian.
and we got it
And he's
done.
leaving, and they
It's
waited
the only
by
state that
a nice,
doesn't have, and yet
beautiful
you have a
kid.
lot of veterans in New Hampshire.
Nice crew cut.
We're
all
slashing
said, he
the
wants to
wait
be a
times
soldier.
at VA medical centers, and
goes
we're
there
bringing
first
back
week, he has his
VA choice
head
and
blown
VA
off.
accountability, which I had, and the
he's no different
Democrats
than you people, me.
abandoned. Made it
And
so
it doesn't matter
much
where.
better.
I mean, I
Accountability,
solved
meaning
the
if you
problem
treat
in
our
the
veterans
Congo that
badly,
was,
we treat you badly. You get
vicious.
fired and beyond that.
Rwanda and the Congo, the
And,
Republic of the Congo.
VA choice is
And they
you
were fighting for
can
30
get out and you
years.
can, if
And
you
it was
don't,
machetes.
if you don't have a
People were
doctor
getting their
ready,
heads
willing, and
chopped
able
off.
to take care
I
of
was
you
going
within
on
the
for
VA, you
31
go
years, I got
outside.
it solved. You saw it. They
You,
came to the White House, we signed an
Go
agreement.
see a
It was
doctor,
amazing.
you get better,
People can't believe
and we
got
pay
it
the
done.
bill. And the
I love to
veterans
stop killing.
loved it.
I
We had a
really do.
92%
People
approval
thought it
rating.
was just the opposite.
And what did the
Hillary Clinton
Democrats
said,
do?
"Oh,
They
he'll
came
get us
along
into
and
a
they
war."
ended
No,
both
I'm
of
getting
them, and they
everybody
hired
else out
back
of war.
many of the people
Are you
that
saying
we
there's a
fired.
real
We fired
possibility
people
then that you do
and replaced them
nothing
with
if-
great, loving people.
if Putin
We
doesn't come to
fired
the
people
table
who
for
were
a ceasefire?
sadists.
I'll see
In
whose
many
fault it
cases,
is.
they were
If,
sick.
If there are
They
reasons
were thieves.
why, I'll
They were
understand that.
stealing.
I know exactly what
And they
I'm doing.
hired them back. The
We're gonna see
accountability,
whether or not
meaning
they
the
have a
VA
meeting.
accountability, was a big deal getting
If
it
they
passed
don't,
because
why
you have
didn't they have a
unions,
meeting?
you
'Cause I
have
told them to
all
have a
sorts
meeting.
of problems
But
to
I'll
go
know
through.
in
We
2
got it
weeks
through
what,
everything.
what I'm going to do.
And
I'm
the
pretty good at
Democrats,
it.
as soon as they got
Department is
back, they
also
hired many of the
sending,
worst people right
Epstein
back, and we're getting
files
rid of them.
over to the House Oversight.
But I want to
Committee
thank
today. Are you
the
in
two
support of
gentlemen
them
standing
releasing
behind
all
me,
of
and I'd
them?
like to ask you just to say a
They
couple of
Innocent
words,
people
and then we'll
shouldn't
take
be
a
hurt,
few
but I'm in
questions
support
if
of
you'd
keeping
like.
it totally open. I couldn't
And
care
we'll
less.
sign
You got a
the
lot of
bill,
people that
and
it
our
could be
veterans
mentioned
will be
in those
very
files
happy about it.
that
Thank you.
don't deserve to be. People, because he knew everybody in Palm Beach.
First off, thank
I
you,
don't
Mr.
know anything
President, for
about
signing
that,
this
but I
bill
have said to
today.
Pam and everybody
Let me
else,
tell
give
you
them
that not
everything you
only
can
this
give them,
bill, which will
because
help make
it's a
sure that those
Democrat
veterans
hoax.
have got
It's just a hoax. The whole
themselves in a
Epstein thing
situation
was a
where maybe
Democrat
they would be
host.
foreclosed on it
So
and
we
some
had
just a
the
little bit
greatest
extra
6
help
months, 7 months of
without
the history
the
of the
government going
presidency.
into a banking business
And the
like we've had
Democrats
with the
don't know what
previous
to do, so they keep bringing up that
administration.
stuff. But it
I also want to say
affected
thank you
them.
too, though, for appointing
Bill
Doug
Clinton
Collins
was on
as
his
our
plane and went
secretary
to the island
for the
supposedly
VA.
28
As
times.
chairman of the
I don't wanna bring that
VA,
up,
having the
frankly.
opportunity to work with Doug,
You
one,
have,
because I
Larry,
believe we
whatever
worked
his
together
name is,
before,
Summers,
but he has
the
the
head of
right
Harvard,
attitude.
who
The
was Jeffrey
attitude is
Epstein's
the
best
VA
friend. Nobody
is
ever
not
talks
about
about
bureaucracy.
that. But
It's
I don't want
about
to hurt
veterans.
Larry Summers.
And we want to
I
keep
think
it
he's
that
best
way.
friends with
That
Jeffrey
doesn't mean
Epstein.
we
No,
don't
this is
have
Democratic hoax to try and get
good workforce. What it means is that workforce is focused on the
significance
veterans,
of
not
what
on
we've
making
done
sure
over
that
the
the
past
VA grows, but
7
making
months.
sure that the
Nobody's
VA
ever
does the
seen
job
anything
it's
like
supposed
it.
to
They
do. And
say
thank
it's
you, Mr.
number one in
President,
history.
for your leadership that
What
allows
we've
that to
done,
happen.
including stopping 7 wars. I mean, just include that.
Thank you, everybody,
And
for
now
coming
you
here
look-
today.
and now
Thank
you
you,
look
Mr.
at the stock
President, for
market today,
hosting
it's
us
way
here.
up to start off
I'm the
with,
longest
from
serving
where I
enlisted
took it.
member of the United
And
States
this market
military
was
to
going
ever
to
get
crash.
elected to
If Joe
Congress in the history
Biden
of
or
our nation.
Kamala were president, this
And I'm
market
unequivocally stating
would-
right
we
now
would
that
have
President
crashed like
Donald
in
J. Trump is the most
1929. You're not
positive,
gonna have that.
pro-veteran
It's only a
president in the
question
history
of
of this
how high is
country.
it going to go. You know, I had the
And so he
strongest
backs up
economy in the history
his words
of
with
our
deeds,
country.
and this is another
And
example
despite COVID,
of how
we have the
President Trump is
strongest
taking care of our
economy
veterans.
in the
So,
history
sir, I'm
of
very
our country.
thankful for you,
And we're gonna
for your
blow it away
leadership,
this time.
and
It was always
let's get
good
this
to
thing
make it a lot
done
of
and get
money.
our veterans into homes.
And
So God bless
whether
you,
it was for
and God bless
myself
the
or
United
whether it
States.
was, I like doing it this way better. I mean, I like making it for the country. Our country's been ripped off by friend and foe, nations all over the world ripped off, and the friends have been much worse than the foes. And they're not ripping us off. We just signed a deal with the European Union. They're paying us essentially $950 billion, like a signing fee. They're going to buy $750 billion worth of energy. They weren't buying much of our energy there. And they're very smart in doing it. And as you know, Ursula was here a couple of days ago having to do with the people, the leaders. And we had a great, people said they've never seen anything like it. We had the leaders of Europe right here in the Oval Office. And she's so happy that she has
It's a very important bill.
People aren't ripping us anymore. We're run by, this country is run by smart people.
One is that Intel, there's been reports that considering taking a stake in Intel. Can you tell us
About the 10%?
About the 10%.
Yeah, I met a man, he was a very nice man, and I called for his removal because I saw something by a man named Tom Cotton, senator from Arkansas, who's a great guy, friend of mine, supporter of mine, big supporter, I'm a supporter of this thing. And he wrote a pretty nasty story about the head of Intel. And I said, well, that's right, you should resign, and he came in.
Well, if that happens, then we just
saw
raise
me,
it.
we talked for a
What you
while.
do
I
is
liked
you
him a
lower
lot. I
it,
thought
and
he
let's
was
see if there's
very good.
inflation.
I thought
Right
he
now,
was
there's no
somewhat
inflation.
a victim,
Everybody
but,
thought there would
nobody's
be.
a total
All we have
victim, I
is
guess.
billions of
And,
dollars of cash pouring
I said,
into our
you know
country
what? I think the
from
United
other
States
countries
should
that
be
took
given
advantage of us for
10%.
many, many years. You know, they were taken advantage of. We were like the stupid people that didn't know what they were doing. They took advantage of us. Other countries, friend and foe.
Intel's been left
And by the way,
behind,
the friend was
compared to
oftentimes much worse than the foe when it comes to
Jensen
trade.
and some of our friends.
So if
NVIDIA,
that happens, what you do is you
some of
raise
the
your rates
people
and you do what you
people
have to do to stop
because
inflation.
Intel should have never been.
But
Intel was the
we're
biggest,
keeping the rates high,
most powerful
and
chip
it's hurting
company
people from buying
in the
houses,
world.
and we don't want that.
And then,
if for any reason that happened in
they
a year or
started
two,
leaving.
if there's some signs
And
of
they
inflation
started going
coming
to
back,
foreign
right now
countries,
there's
in
not. We
particular
have
Taiwan.
a great thing
And if
going.
we
I
had a
think we're going to have
president that would
the
have said, okay,
richest
you can go to
economy you've
Taiwan,
ever
but we're gonna
seen.
put a
We have money
100%
coming in that
tariff
we've
or
never
200 or
even thought
300
about.
or 500%
At numbers that nobody's ever seen
Anybody
before.
that sells into
We
the
have
United States has to pay.
a
They
deal with
wouldn't have
Japan
left.
where they're going to pay
They
us
wouldn't have left.
$550
We wouldn't
billion.
have. So in the
We have a
meantime,
deal
we had people that
with
were,
Europe where they're
in some
doing
cases, good
$750
politicians
billion
that
plus
weren't good on trade.
$400 billion
I
plus
loved
$300
that man,
billion.
but he was not good on trade.
And many other countries,
I
it's
totally
likewise,
disagree.
you know,
Allowed
relatively, those
our
are two big
industry to
ones,
be
but
taken out of this country.
likewise. So we
50%
have
of our car industry.
a lot of money coming
But that's all
in,
coming
and we
back.
have
It's
no
all coming
inflation.
back. But if somebody
and
would have said
we
that,
should, and we're very
with
strong, and we should be
Intel
lowering the
would
rates.
be
You know,
a giant
each point
right now. Now, with that, they've had some
this
bad management
gentleman
over the years.
keeps up.
and they
Costs
got
us
lost.
$365
And I said, I think you should pay us 10% of your company.
billion a year.
And
Think
they
of
said
that.
yes.
1 point.
That's about $10 billion.
$365 billion.
I don't get it.
If you bring it down
This
a
comes
point,
to
we
the
save
United States of America.
365. We
And I
should be
said,
the
I think it would
lowest
be good
interest
having the
rate.
United States as
And
your
we're
partner.
not.
He
We're
agreed. And
38,
they've agreed to
number
do it, and I think
38
it's a great
because
deal
of the
for them.
Fed. It's all because
And
of
I
the
think it's
Fed.
a great deal. He walked in
He's
wanting to keep
done
his
a bad
job,
job.
and he
No, he's
ended
got a
up giving
meeting
us $10 billion for the
today,
United
but
States.
I
So
call
we
him
picked
too
up $10
late. You
billion.
know, he's always too late. Even
And
if he
we
does
do a
it
lot of
today,
deals
probably
like that. I'll
won't.
do more of them.
I hear they're going to do it in
Somebody else,
September.
like we have
not today.
restrictive
For what
covenants with,
reason?
Jensen.
Nobody
We have-
knows, but
It's NVIDIA.
Europe, as you know, cut
And
their
to
rates
unrestricted
11
covenants.
times
Nothing
in
to
the
do
last
with
short period of
losing
time.
our powers or
But the good news is we're doing better than anybody anywhere in the
But
world.
there are
Nobody's
things you
doing
can do
anything
that
even
don't
close to us,
affect
even
us,
with the
that
higher
actually
rates.
help us.
The higher rates do affect
And
housing, though, because
if we're
people
gonna
can't
give
go out and get a
somebody
loan or
a
refinance their
free
house.
out,
And it would be
restricted
nice
covenant. We have a
to
strong
have them be able
restricted
to do that. That would be
on
just
certain industries.
another check
And
on
I
the
will
box. That would be very
absolutely
important.
give
Yeah, please.
somebody a opening
mentioned today
to
that
do a
India,
lot of business.
in addition to its
for us,
25%
as long as it
tariff
doesn't
rate, paid
hurt us
additional
in a
penalty
security or
because of
military
its
way.
support of Russia. What
And if I
is
do
that
that, I
additional
think the country
penalty?
should be paid.
And are other
I have
countries
it in
facing the
Roosevelt.
same
I'll have
threat?
to deal
Well,
with
we're
somebody,
negotiating right
and I'll
now,
have
and
them
it's also BRICS. You know,
restrictive
BRICS,
covenants,
which
and
is
they'll come back and they'll
basically
say,
a
I'd
group
love
of
to be able
countries
to
that
build
are
over here,
anti
but
the
I'm not
United
allowed to
States,
because
and
you have
India's
me
a member
covered,
of that, if
you
you
have me
can believe
restricted.
it. It's an
I
attack
I'll
on
let
the
you build
dollar.
over there, but pay
And we're
me
not going to let
a lot
anybody
of money.
attack the dollar. So it's partially
different.
BRICS and it's partially,
the country
it's
never
partially
did it
the
because the
trade
country was run by
situation.
foolish
It's the
people.
deficit. We had a tremendous deficit.
You said Chicago
as
might
you know,
be next.
Prime Minister Modi's a friend of mine, but
Are you making,
they don't
have
do very
there
much
been
business
concrete
in
steps
terms
that the
of
administration
business
is
with
taking
us.
to do that? Or
They
what are
sell a
other
lot
cities
to
that
us,
are?
but we don't buy from them. You know why? Because the tariff is so high. They have one of the highest tariffs in the world. Now
Just
they're
like
willing
we
to
did
cut it
DC.
very substantially.
Chicago's
We'll see
very
what happens.
dangerous.
We're talking to
Great place.
India
They
now.
built
We'll see
great
what
stuff
happens.
there. I have the
It
most
doesn't
beautiful
matter
building
too
in
much whether
Chicago.
we have a deal or whether
But I
we
hate to
charge
see
them a
what's
certain
happened to
tariff.
Chicago.
But you'll know at the
Chicago
end
was our
of
greatest
this
city,
week.
actually.
August
Friend
1st
of
is
mine
a
passed
very
away.
big
He
day
used to
for
own
this
the
country
Giants, very
because
successful
money is going to
Lowe's.
pour into the United States
said
like we've never
Chicago.
seen before. Yes,
I think they
ma'am.
had the main
Thank you,
office.
Mr. President.
They said
Senator
Chicago
Hawley
and
introduced
San Francisco,
legislation that
the
would
greatest
ban
cities in
members
the
of
world.
Congress from owning
Now
or
you
trading
look at what the
individual
Democrats
stocks
have
to
done
the
to San
extent
Francisco.
the President and Vice
Destroyed it. I
President
own
are in
a chunk
favor
of
of that
the
legislation.
Well, I
Bank
like
of
it
America building
conceptually. I
in
don't
San
know about
Francisco.
it, but I like it conceptually.
And,
And,
it's just
Nancy
we can
Pelosi
clean that up too.
became
We'll clean that one up
rich
too.
by having inside
If everything
information.
works out,
She made a
and
fortune with
we've
her
already had
husband,
calls
and
from other
I think
cities,
that's
quiet
disgraceful.
calls from
So in that
Democrats.
sense, I'd like it, but
We'd
I'd have
love
to
you to
really
come
see
here,
the. I'd have,
'cause they've
I
lost
study
control
these
of
things
this.
very carefully, and this
I'm
just
not going to
happened.
say because I don't want
So
them to
I'll
lose
take a
their
look at it,
elections.
but
we've
conceptually,
had
I
calls
like
from
it.
Democrats
And
and
what I
calls
do
from
think is
people
Nancy
generally.
Pelosi should
And we'd
be
love you to come
investigated
here,
because
we'll straighten
what
out
she
the
has the
problem.
highest return of anybody
In
practically
families of hostages
in the history of
are-
Wall Street, save a
in
few.
Israel, families of hostages
And
are opposed
how did
to
that
the
happen? It
reoccupying
happened by she
Gaza.
knows exactly
Why is
what's
the
going to
US
happen,
Well,
what's
not
going to
all
be
of them.
announced.
And
You
you
buy
have to
stock,
understand,
and then
I'm
the
the one
stock
that got
goes
all of the
up
hostages
after the
out.
announcement was
You got a lot of
made.
people out. If it
And she ought to
wasn't
be
for me, they wouldn't be
investigated.
out. PB and I worked with Steve Witkoff, but it wasn't for me. We have all these hostages most likely dead right now, every one of them. So
Well,
if
it's
they
a lot
all
of money.
come up here,
It's a
they
lot
all
of money.
come in groups of 10.
We're negotiating with
12,
Harvard now. They
13.
would like to settle,
And
so we'll
many
see
of
what
them.
happens.
And so now they have 20, but 20 is actually probably not
our
good.
veterans safe over there.
Lying
There's
around
this talk
anywhere.
about sending a lot
It's
of
a
them
terrible
back.
thing.
Would you let her-
Well, I like it.
We
I
know
don't
the
like
good ones.
anymore. I
We know
said,
the ones that maybe
you know,
aren't so
when
good.
you get down to
You know,
20,
some came over that aren't so
they're not going
good.
to make deals anymore.
And
they
we're going
did,
to take
and
care
then
of
I put out
those
a
people.
statement,
The ones
you
that
know, there was a tough statement.
did
Go
a
in
job. The
get
ones
them.
that were told
And
certain
they said, we'll
things.
give you 10, we'll
A
give you
shame
10.
what
I don't know
happened.
what
One of the
Israel's
most
doing, but they were willing now
disgraceful
immediately to
episodes
give
in
us
the history of
another
our
10.
country. The way we left
The situation has to
Afghanistan
end.
was just
It's
a disgrace.
extortion and it has to
But
end.
I understand your question
And
fully,
we'll
and
see
we'll
what
take
happens.
care
I
of
actually think they're safer in many ways if you
90%
went
of
in
your
and
question.
you really
Okay,
went
I know what you
fast
mean.
and
Thank you very
did
much.
it.
Mr. President,
People can't forget
on
October
tariffs from
7th.
India,
We're
are you
friendly
still
with all
open to
groups.
negotiate
One
with
of the
India
Arab
on the
vote.
tariff front?
Well, we're talking to
Israel
them now. We'll see what
the Arab
happens.
vote.
Again,
We started off at zero,
India was
and
the
we were
highest,
playing.
or just about
I
the
wouldn't say
highest
the candidate
tariff
was the
nation in
greatest,
the
but I would've
world.
won against anybody.
And
They-
one of the
they're good
highest,
people. But
100
we have
points,
to do things
150
properly. And
points,
I'm very proud to say,
percentages.
I got the hostages out.
So
Look,
India was one of the
hundreds
highest in the
people that
world.
are living now
They
because
had
of me.
won
And now we have that
175%.
final little group of people.
And higher than
Hamas
that.
knows that if they give
You know, there's
them,
another
it's
higher one
probably
is
the end of their
Canada.
lives.
Canada has,
So it's not
they've been
easy to
charging
get.
our farmers 200%,
And,
300%,
if you're a parent, you
400%
just
for
don't care.
years,
You wanna- I
and
want
nobody
my
did
baby
anything
back. They
about
want their
it.
babies back.
But
They
India
want
is one of the
their
highest, so we're going
And
to
I
say we're
understand.
negotiating with India
But I
right
got them
now.
out, and we're doing everything we can to get them. Thank you all very
He said
much.
I don't know that. I don't know what you mean by that statement.
Well, we called too late for a reason. We should have got them a year ago.
Oh, Bernbag, I thought you said appointed a man named Bernbag.
You know, we have a stock market that's up 1,000 points today.
You got to speak up.
I better be careful
Thousands
because
of
it's
documents and these facts supposed to be burned bags at the FBI.
when it's up 1,000 points when I came in here. We have a country that the market's the hottest it's ever been. The country is better than it's ever been. We have a military that I rebuilt largely in my first term. We had a great successful first term.
But it's
this
got to
is gonna
be,
be
you
even better.
know, it's got to be
But we
stuff that
rebuilt it.
really
We gave
doesn't
a lot of
hurt
it away
people
to
unfairly, because you have so
Afghanistan,
many
but
people
relatively
involved.
small compared to
And
the
if they
overall,
can do
but
that in a
I think
fair
it was
way,
the
I think
most
it's great. I think
embarrassing
it's really great. The whole thing is a
day and period in
scam.
the history of our
It's a
country.
scam set up by the
They
Democrats, and they love
allowed
talking
those
about it. But,
13 wonderful people,
I
but
would
it's
like
really
to
hundreds
see
of people were killed.
people
And they don't talk about the
exposed
48
that
that
might
were
be
so
bad.
severely
And
wounded
we'll
with
see
no
how that
legs,
all
no
works
arms,
out.
no-
But
nobody ever mentions
it's getting
them
to be
except
very
me.
old news. You know, if
But
they
that
had
was the
anything,
worst
they would have
day,
done
the
it
most,
the week before the
it just
election
showed how
because they were
incompetent.
losing by a
Frankly,
lot.
if that
If they
didn't
had
happen, I really
anything,
believe
they would have
that
done
we might not have
it. They
had
control the
problem with
file.
Russia. I think Putin was sitting there watching
The Democrats
these
controlled
stupid
it.
people running
Comey
our
and
country and
all
said,
this,
this is the time to
sleazebags, every
invade.
one of them that you read about all the
this is the
time.
time.
And I
And then
guess they
Biden
got
made
some
the
problems
statement,
now
well,
having to do with
he can
yet
do
a
a small
different
incursion. When he said
scandal,
that,
very big
it
one.
was off to the races. Right?
But
When
they
he said
control that
he
file,
can do a
so
small
I
incursion.
would think
Remember
that if
I
they
was
would have had
surprised he
something
didn't
in the
know the word
file, they
incursion.
would have released it about a week before the election. Maybe 2 weeks,
I
right,
want to
Brian?
thank everybody.
Go ahead.
Mr. President, welcome to me and everybody else. It was a great trip. And Johnny has been so incredible. He is really a great leader. I said, Johnny, give me my phone. You don't have to
Many parents are preparing to send their kids back to school in a few weeks. Now, this will be the first time they've gone back to school under the second administration for you. Now, the previous administration labeled a lot of parents as domestic terrorists are showing up at school board meetings butchering messages to parents now as they return their kids to school knowing that they have the support. One of the beautiful things is, you know, we've gotten rid of the woke. Woke is gone. I think pretty well buried. We're going to make sure it's buried. But the parents are now taking over the school boards and getting rid of these people that
So happy to get it.
probably didn't like the children very much based on what they were doing. And it's a big difference. And, you know, one of the other things, and I keep watching these talking points that the Democrats have, they say, oh, prices are
on December 5th of this year, the 2026 FIFA World Cup draw will take place at the Kennedy Center.
And things like eggs are way down. You know, when I came in my first week, the eggs had gone up like 4 or 5 times. Nobody had ever seen anything like it.
But right here in Washington, D.C., it's a tremendous honor to bring the global event and this incredible group of people and these unbelievable athletes, the best athletes in the world, to the cultural center of our nation's capital.
So I just want everyone to know prices are
left the
way
Kennedy
down,
Center.
and
We're
that's a big
spending
thing.
a lot of money wisely on
Groceries,
making
everything.
it really beautiful. It's going to be
If you
beautiful
look
again.
at fuel,
It's like
$2.35
D.C.
a
we
gallon.
have, by the way, in Washington, D.C., we have the lowest crime numbers
We actually had
they've
3
had
states,
in
4 states
years.
where it's down $1.99.
Zero. It sounds like it's a horrible
$1.99
thing to say, but
as
I might as
opposed
well
to
say
$3.50, $4.
Zero.
And it went up a lot higher
murders
than that.
in the last week
They got
since
rid
we've
of my
done this. That's
policy,
the first time
and then
in
it went
memory
through the
that this
roof.
happened. If you can
And then they
believe
brought
it,
my
how
policy
pathetic
back,
that
but
is
it was
to
too
even
late.
say it.
They blew
And
it.
I'm
We had the
tired of
highest
listening to these
inflation
people
in the
say how
history of
safe
our
it was
country.
before we got here.
And
It was
now we
unsafe.
have no
It was
inflation.
horrible.
We
And
have
Mayor
nothing
Bowser
but
better
cash
get her act
coming
straight, or
in. The
she won't
world
be there very
respects us
long,
again.
because we'll take it
We're
over
a
with the
really
federal government
great,
running like it's
proud
supposed to be
country.
run.
And I say it,
The
I'll say
numbers
it
were
again.
horrible.
Many
It
leaders
was a
of
crime-infested
other countries, I'm dealing with a lot
rat
of them
hole.
today on their tariff
And they do have a
situation.
lot
They
of
owe
rats.
us a
We're
lot of
getting rid
money.
of them too.
But many
And we
countries
made a lot of progress. And
said to me,
it
and
was
almost in the
extremely
same words,
unsafe,
you
and
were
now
a
it's
dead
extremely
country 1
safe.
year ago, and today you're
We
the
had
hottest country
virtually
anywhere
no
in the
crime.
world. We are the
The
hottest
number was
country
down
right now
87%.
anywhere in the world, and that's why we're taking care of our veterans. Okay? Thank you very much, everybody.
The National Guard has been unbelievable. They're working with the police. And they have some very good people in there. They have some people that shouldn't be
fine
police.
with China. I think it's going to work
But they have
out
some
very
great
well.
people
We're
there.
right in
And,
step.
the
I think we're going to
Washington,
have a
D.C. is a
very
whole
fair
different
deal
place.
with
and
China. Thank you.
But it's a whole different place. People are excited again. They're going out to restaurants again. That was the other thing I saw numbers. That restaurant business is down in the last week. No. Restaurant business, you can't get into a restaurant. Just really lying people.
You don't want to
And that's
slip
why
or
people
fall
don't
like
understand
somebody
how
else I
bad
know.
and how dishonest the
We
press
don't want
is.
that to happen.
I saw one
Where are we
poll that
going,
had
Margot? Over here?
us at 19% favorable.
Hello, everybody. It's great
on
to
what
be
we're
with
doing
you. You
with
guys are
Washington.
doing a
Then I saw another
fantastic
one that
job,
says
and
it's
gals
94%
doing
favorable.
an amazing job,
And I can tell you the
appreciate it.
94% is
The numbers
correct.
are down
The others
like
are fake, just
we
fake
wouldn't
news.
believe, but
They got to
we
get their
believe
act
it.
together. So bad for our
Where do
country.
I
So
stand
sick,
here?
actually. So Washington,
where?
D.C. is really doing unbelievably well.
Okay,
And
hello.
the Kennedy Center that we're
It's a healthy,
fixing, I was just there all
attractive
morning
looking
with
people.
contractors. We're making it unbelievable. It's going to be unbelievable.
Well, I just want
It's
to
got
thank
great
everybody
bones, but
very
it
much
needs
for
a lot of work.
being here. I wanted
The
to
World
do
Cup
this.
draw
We've
will
had,
set up the group
some
stage of
incredible
competition.
results,
48
results have
teams
come
will
out.
play in 104
And,
games
it's
across
like a different
16
place.
North
It's like a
American
different
cities, from Seattle
city.
to
It's the
Vancouver
capital.
to
It's gonna
Atlanta
be
to
the best
Miami.
in the world. We're
It's going to
going
be so exciting
do
for our
what you're
country.
doing with law enforcement.
The
and very
2026
importantly also,
FIFA
we're
World
gonna
Cup
physically
will
do
be
it.
one of
We're
the largest and
going
most
back to
complex
Congress
events.
for some money,
This will be
and
one of
we're
the
gonna
greatest events, one of the
redo
largest.
a
In a
lot
way,
of
it's
the
like
pavement,
Johnny
a lot
said
of
it
the
better. It's like
medians,
having
a lot of the-
many Super
the
Bowls
graffiti's
in a
all
short
coming
period of
off
time.
real fast.
Because
It's
each
gonna
one of
come
these
down real
games
fast.
essentially is
We're working
a
with
Super Bowl.
Clark
Some of them are bigger than
Construction,
Super Bowls.
one of the
actually.
big ones, the
But
biggest
they're
here by
essentially,
far, actually.
each one of these games is like a
And
Super
we're
Bowl. The
gonna be not so much building,
26
it's
FIFA
cleaning,
World Cup
fixing,
will be
and
the
redoing
largest,
and
most
putting
complex
brand
set
new
of events
surfaces
in
down on
sports
your roads
history.
and streets,
And the
when
Kennedy
people
Center
come in
will
from the
give
airport
it
all
a
the way to the
phenomenal
Capitol, the
kickoff,
White
and we'll
House,
be
or
involved,
any
and
place
they'll
else
be
they're
working
gonna
over
say,
there
"Boy,
for
this place is
quite a bit of
spotless."
time. We have it all
So
set
we're
that they
doing
can
that.
stay
Most
there for the
importantly,
big
though,
events,
we're
the
gonna
big
have
press
a
conferences and
crowd of
everything
people
else.
miles,
that are
and they'll
gonna
be in
be
a very
happy.
safe
I've
capital. That'll be
received
nice. You don't have to
more
worry about
phone
walking down
calls
the
from
street,
people in the
Johnny,
last
okay?
4 days
But you can handle yourself.
than I ever have. I've been here now 4
Already,
years plus.
FIFA is projecting
And
6
by the way, I
million
think we
loyal
have about
fans
the
will attend the
the
World
best
Cup
7
events next
months
year.
here, and $6 billion more are going to be watching back home. And they think the $6 billion number is going to be actually a low number. And this will drive more than $30 billion into the U.S. economy and create 185,000 American jobs in a short period of time, too. No sporting event attracts more attention, more fans, more viewers, or more revenue than the FIFA World Cup.
In Washington,
and again, I'll just say it's the World Cup is the biggest thing there is in sports, and we have it. And I got it in my first administration, and I was really somewhat devastated, as devastated as I can be. I don't have time to get too devastated.
It was just unsafe.
I was very happy today, as you saw,
you'd see the stories, you'd
group
read
that
the
does
stories,
this, the government group, radical left group, announced that Trump was right. Took in $4 trillion
now. I
worth
take
of
my
tariffs,
wife and my
and the
kids
$4
to
trillion
dinner.
are going
One
to
of them
reduce the
said he's gone
deficit
out
by
4
numbers far
nights in a
greater
row,
than they ever expected.
and he
or
hadn't
heard
gone
of.
out for 4
And
years.
by the way, the stock market went up 1,000 points.
It's a great tribute to you. And
That
when I
was
look
as of
at
10 minutes ago. I can't tell you what
people, I
happened. A lot of
understand
things
why,
happened.
because they-
But the
there's
stock
no games,
market's
right? We're
up
not playing
almost
games, we're
1,000
gonna make it
points.
safe. And we're going to
it's
then go on
basically
to other
the news
places,
that,
but we're going to stay here
the
for a
release
while.
that
We
just
want to
came
make this
out
absolutely
from government
perfect. It's our
that,
capital.
the
And,
tariffs that
I
everybody
guess
was
it used
talking
to
about,
be many
that the whole
years
world
ago,
respects
but
us
it's
for
certainly not
because
had
of what we did.
a very good run.
The tariffs are going to be at
And you
$4
gotta be
trillion.
strong, you
They're
gotta
going
be
to
tough,
reduce
you
the
gotta do your
deficit
job.
by
Whatever it takes
$4
to do your job, you got to do
Mr.
your
Vice
job.
President. What do you think?
The crime numbers are way
Too bad it's
down.
not
I'm
five.
looking at, you saw some of the stats.
It's had
I
a
just
huge impact,
read them
and
out
the
to me
stock
inside.
market
The
is
numbers
way
that
up.
we haven't seen here.
But this will drive more than $30 billion in
Actually,
the U.S.
ever.
economy and create
And I think it's
185,000
probably,
American jobs. No
right
sporting
now,
event
it's- to
attracts
me, I
more
feel very
attention
safe
or more
now, and I'm
fans or
hearing
anything
people
else.
are very safe, but
I
I
just
know
look forward to the draw. So
within
we're
2
going to have
weeks
the
it's gonna
draw,
be- Bam, it's
essentially,
gonna be
Johnny,
at
at
a
the
level that's even
Kennedy
far
Center.
superior.
And by
So
that
I
time,
just
it'll
came,
be in
I
even
just
better
wanted to
shape.
thank
We're
you all. You're
working on
doing
it. It'll
incredible.
take
You're
about a year
incredible
project
people.
to make it.
You make the
It'll
country
be great.
run,
It'll be
frankly. You make the
fantastic. You
whole
see the way
place
this
run.
is looking.
We're going to have the
Nice.
best
I can't
capital
tell you how much that
ever.
gold costs. A lot
We're
of
going to have
money.
the. It's going to
There's
look better
nothing like
than it
gold,
ever
and
did.
there's
Even
nothing
at the
like
White House,
solid
I'm building a
gold, but
ballroom.
with
They've
this-
been after a
this
ballroom
beautiful
for
office needed
150
it.
years,
It had to be
but they've had a real
represented
estate
when we
guy
took
as
it
a
over. It was
president.
dirty,
I've done a lot of
not
ballrooms.
clean.
And we're
They
going to make this one the
immediately
best
changed
of
the
them
chair,
all.
had
But
the-
we're
this
doing
beautiful
a
desk
real
renovated,
job. As far as the
brought out
country's
by the White
concerned,
House.
we're
People that do
respected
this, they did
again.
a great job.
We had a country that was laughed at a year ago. They would think
But,
they thought they
this
couldn't
was
understand
not
what was
appropriate
happening.
For the Oval Office, when I
And
took
it's about
over. Now,
leadership, but
look at
we
all
had a
those
country
paintings
that
you're allowed
was
to turn back.
a
All
dead
of these are
country in
great
many
presidents,
ways.
and they were all in the
Went to
vaults.
Saudi Arabia, I
They were
went
in
to
vaults
Qatar,
for
I went
some
to
cases
UAE.
much
We
more
came
than
back with
100 years.
$5.1 trillion
And now
of
they're
investment
proudly
in
hanging
this
on the
country.
Oval
And we're
Office
over
wall, so they
17
can't
trillion.
imagine
Now, a lot of you don't know what
anybody
that
changing it, but
means.
They were buried in
And
vaults
nobody
for
knows
over
what it
100
means because
years,
it's
many
never
of them.
happened before.
So it's very exciting.
5
People come in,
months,
they really
because
love it.
really
They love
it's a
what we're
5
doing
month, even though we're here
they
7,
love
but
what
we
we're doing in
started
DC, and they
5
love
months
what we're
ago in
doing
terms
most
of
importantly in the
investment,
country
and we
and
have,
the world.
because they
I'd
see
like
what's
to ask Johnny
happened
to
to our
say a few
country.
words. He's the
We're
head
going
of
to
the
be over
whole thing.
17
He's been there
trillion,
for
trillion with
a
a
long
T,
time.
dollars of
Probably the most
investment.
respected
There's never
man in
been anything
sports.
close.
He's
If we
amazing,
did
actually. Works very
1
hard.
trillion
and
in
he's
a
got,
year, and we're
the
talking
biggest
about
event
over
in
a
the world
5 month
coming
period,
right here
maybe
to the
6
United
months if you
States.
look at it.